So the words from that chant were sort of going through my body as I was sitting in the meditation there. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, freedom from ill will, freedom from anxiety. And then, so it sort of went through all of them, and then it just came back to may I abide in well-being. And recognizing how easy it is to not have a thought like that, to just be going through life with automatic pilot, reacting to things and maybe having perceptions of one's body that aren't very kind, or even very realistic. And yet, body and mind, here we are together every day, every moment of every day, pretty much. Mind wanders off, actually, but not very far. And so to have this intention of well-being towards the body and mind, actually, towards this being, yours. And we were talking earlier on about, when driving and somebody cuts you off, immediately there's anger and ill will arise, and then feeling bad about that. After all these years, I'm still doing that, And that's really a very natural habit that we can do, but we can train ourselves to attend in a different way. So having this intention, having the intention to cultivate a sense of well-being and encouragement, and appreciation for this body and mind, and to counter those habits of criticism and judgment and aversion and unconsciousness, because we have to be we have to pay attention to do that. We have to be intentional about it. So maybe that you're already actually have a lovely relationship to your body, which would be great. But many people don't, and also to the mind. So it's so common, practice. You have the instruction: be mindful of the breath, and then mindful of the breath for like 1.5 breaths, and then you're thinking about something else, and then you criticize yourself for thinking about something else. As soon as you notice, it's a criticism, and that's very uninspiring. Then the mind's like, oh, okay, I've got it. This is a chore I have to do. I'm supposed to be doing it like this. I'm doing it bad. I'm doing it wrong. And then there's no joy in the meditation. It's just this sort of, kind of beating yourself to try and make yourself do these things that you think you should be doing, and rather than the meditation becoming a resting place, a place of insight, a place of joy, a place of transformation, which is really what it's for. It's to transform the old patterns and the old habits of mind that they served us to a degree. We're here, but they don't really serve us on the path to awakening. So we can notice when those things happen. It can also be a shutting down. It can be like going to meditate and then it's like asleep, or you feel like you're awake, but everyone looking at you would think you're asleep. So if that's happening, then you need to just adjust the body a little bit, stretch the back of the neck a little bit, open up the shoulders, and invite some energy to arise in the body, or even stand up if you need to. And any kind of criticism is really not helpful. So it's just more like you discern, what's needed, and then you do that without just drop the criticism. And then if you find like, oh, you're already criticizing yourself, then you can, oh, I'm already doing it. Oh, I did it again. Then you can criticize yourself and criticizing yourself, and on it goes. So we want to transform those patterns that keep us small and keep us stuck, pull us down. They're kind of joy killers, and appreciate any moment that we're present, any moment of presence. I think I've spoken about it before. There's this sutta where the Buddha talks about the benefits of giving, and he's saying, if you give to it goes through different kinds of people that you might give to, you know, people who are very virtuous, who have a strong practice, and people who are, you know, all kinds of different people, to, you know, people who are really unvirtuous and don't practice at all, but they're people, you know, they're humans, or even creatures. And to anyone that you give to, you'll make good merits, you know, good energies. It's beneficial. And then he goes through all these different ways you can give, you know, giving a little, you know, giving a lot, giving an enormous amount of it, giving, you know, gold and jewels and pots full of beautiful things, you know. So it kind of this ridiculously elaborate giving ceremony, and that this is really, really meritorious and good. And then he says, but if you can, I believe this is in the same sutta, if you can practice metta, loving kindness, for as long as it takes to pull a cow's udder, that's even more meritorious. And if you can, even more meritorious than all of that giving, to cultivate metta, just even for as long as it takes to pull a cow's udder, which is probably about half a second, or maybe one. And if you can contemplate impermanence, or be aware of impermanence for even just a breath, this is even more meritorious. So it's like the most beneficial it could possibly be, to be able to notice impermanence, to notice change right here in the body. So any moment that we're really present, that we're really attentive and we're present, we're noticing, you know, it could be a subtle change. We're noticing impermanence with the changing nature of the breath, or a feeling, or whatever it might be, or mood that's changing. This is of immense merit. I know merit is a funny word, immense benefit. Because we're seeing the truth of things. We're seeing the truth of the way things are. But if we're not careful, we might be caught up in a negative, you know, a negative mindset, or just daydreaming, you know, sitting meditating, and we find we're daydreaming, and then we notice we're daydreaming. In that moment of noticing, things are shifted. We're no longer in the dream. We've seen it. And then if we're not careful, we miss that beautiful opportunity to see there's presence and it's changing. That's a really precious moment. And then we can go straight into the old habit of judgment instead, you know. So we have this opportunity to appreciate any moment, any precious moment in our life, that we're present, that we're attentive, that we're curious about what is happening here and now. It's always changing. So if we're really present with what is happening here and now, we will experience that clarity and the goodness that comes from that, the sort of spiritual energy, you could say, that comes from that. And it might be that, you know, 93% of our time is not that, and then 7% is, and then that 7% is really precious. And then we can get it. It's enough to have a little gap that we can strengthen that, and strengthen it a bit more and a bit more. And you know, sometimes it can be quite fun and exciting to do things that are hard to do. You know, to have like renunciant practices. That can be quite. That's sort of how renunciants. One of the ways when renunciants have fun is to like push the edge a little bit more, you know. But it can be quite fun. You can try it with stuff, or it might be something that just brings you joy. You know, you see a I don't know. You see a beautiful flower. You know, and then you're just like, wow, you know, and you allow yourself to open to that, and you feel it. It's almost like, for me, when I have this thing with flowers, you know, when I see flowers, it's almost like my heart is experiencing. They're right in here, you know, my heart is just resonating with those flowers, and there's this immediate happiness that arises. I don't have to have them. I can just walk along the street and see one in the garden. I don't need to keep it or anything. But just immediately it opens up in my heart as a joy and a happiness. So then, for you, it might be something else. And to just know, and then that's wholesome and beautiful. It's just bringing a sense of well-being. And then that's different if I then want to kind of go to the house and knock on the door and say, can I cut a few of your flowers? That's a different thing. But just just being able to take in the beauty and the goodness and the joy that comes from that, and it may also be from acts of kindness, that you've received from others, or that you give, or that you give, kindness and generosity. So to take it in. So sometimes we can be really very good people. And I've known a lot of very good people. I'm really fortunate, actually, in my life. So I've known a lot of really good people, and some of them have no idea that they are that at all. And that can be a virtue if you're peaceful, if they're peaceful with it. But no, I've known people who are incredibly good people who think of themselves in a very, very bad way, and even do harm to themselves because they have such a negative self-perception. It's very tragic, actually. So appreciating the goodness, the goodness that you do, goodness that others do for you, and we're not as separate as we appear. We're part of each other. We influence each other all the time. So it's lovely to, and it's a workout as well. Actually, it's not just lovely. It can be a workout to to learn how to be with oneself in a generous, appreciative, compassionate way, and also in a way that sometimes to bring an edge, so you can not to be too comfortable. Comfort isn't a great. Too much comfort doesn't really help on the spiritual path. Some does, but not too much. And then also to relate to others, people that we know, people we don't know, people we like, people we don't like. Sorry, that I wasn't looking at anyone when I said don't like. That wasn't personal to anybody. Can we look with a heart of kindness, or even patience, or even equanimity? If we can't have kindness and goodwill towards someone we don't like, can there be some equanimity? Can we find that? So these are important things to cultivate, because they transform our lives. They transform the way we experience the world. They transform who we are and how we show up. And it gets more and more. Well, it's up and down, and nothing's like straight up. But life gets more pleasant to live. It gets to be more enjoyable, more interconnected, more free. And having said all that, that's all quite positive, all the things I'm saying, and it's good. And on the path, we have to meet the difficult stuff too. There's no avoiding it, actually. And so developing a basis of well-being is a really good foundation from which to meet the difficult stuff we also have to work through. And also just having presence, when we develop presence isn't really interested, like awareness isn't really interested in whether it's aware of something beautiful or something ugly or something enjoyable or something painful. It's just knowing. It's just a place of knowing, and it can know anything. It can be the knowing of that which is really inspiring and beautiful and uplifting, and it can be the knowing of that which is awful, painful and difficult, and it's like we can be in the situation in the pain, in the excitement, whatever, and we can lean back into the knowing of it. We still feel it. We still feel it in our being, but we haven't become it. We're just knowing it. It's not distant. It's not disconnected. It's not dissociative or any of those things. But it's peaceful, spacious, open. So this is something we can develop and cultivate. And then when we have that strength of awareness, which is very, very essential really on the path, then all sorts of different things can come. All sorts of different things arise and do their thing and then pass away, and it's all good. It's all to be known. There's no problem. So our meditation practice is a really, really important part of that. And meditation isn't just to have a little bit of peace for a few minutes, or to have a nice experience, even though it can be nice, it can be more than nice, it can be wonderful. But the meditation is to purify the heart and mind. It's to see more clearly. It's to settle down out of the patterns and the stories of our minds into a clearer present experience. And then the inner practice and then the outer expression of the practice, they support each other. And it's very easy to get pulled into reactivity, and the whole way the sort of social system is set up is for that. Sensationalism and excitement, and something new, something that's going to grab your attention. And whether it's often it's things that are really difficult, difficult stuff that's grabbing one's attention, or it might be just sounds, colours, images. There's a lot of grabbing that happens now through the media, trying to grab attention. It's like we've lost subtlety somehow, and then we lose discernment in terms of what we take in, and then we can feel poisoned sometimes by taking in the wrong kind of stuff. So we need to be careful, just as we need to take care of what we take in, what we breathe in, what we drink in, what we eat. We also need to be careful what we put into our minds, and through our eyes, and how we attend to things. So I've noticed that that there's this kind of grabbiness that's got stronger and stronger these days. There'll be like a zooming in, there's somebody will be talking and something that zooms into their face, and it's talking really close to the camera, and it's like I immediately just I just turn that off. So coming back to the more subtle, present, attentive awareness. Retraining our attention to be here with this, whatever this may be, and then we can find great peace and happiness with very simple things. Actually, things that are already happening around us, or in relationship, and it can be, coming back to a relationship for a minute, it can be part of a relationship. Actually, is being able to go into those difficult places and sort things out. And then experiencing the greater sense of connection that comes from that, and willing to put that work in, and that's somehow internal and external. We sort of have to do that with ourselves as well as with each other. So this is all part of the path, It's all part of the path. And sometimes people talk about the practice, and then they think that's just sitting on the meditation cushion. But the practice is the whole of our life. It's all of it. It's everything we're doing and not doing. And every moment is an opportunity. So I just wanted to remind that today.